the best place to call home. Maybe it's the local bookstore or the small pharmacy right down the street, but everybody has their favorite. For me, it's Tribeca Kitchen, where the coffee is good and the service is even better, thanks to Andy. He was the beloved owner who passed away from COVID-19 this spring. But Tribeca's Kitchen is a place that continues to live on. Small businesses are New York City's economic engine. They employ hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers and generate billions in economic activity. When COVID hit, so many of our small businesses shut down for good. We lost thousands of mom and pop shops and more than 1 million jobs. The ones who survived are barely hanging on, struggling to make rent and payroll. The federal government offered a lifeline, the Paycheck Protection Program, or what's known as PPP. $669 billion to help businesses keep their workers employed and the lights on during the darkest days of the pandemic. But right here in New York City, the COVID capital of the world, only 12% of 1.1 million eligible businesses got PPP. Let me say that again. 12% of 1.1 million eligible businesses got PPP right here in New York City, the center of the world. 12%. Meanwhile, 24% of businesses in Nebraska got PPP. 24%. And when you look at who got PPP borough by borough, we saw even more disparity. When I ran the numbers, we found that more than 60,000 businesses got loans versus less than 10,000 in the Bronx. Businesses say the applications were complicated and restrictive, or they simply didn't know about the program. This is unacceptable. The city failed our small businesses the first time around, but we have another chance, and that's why I'm here today. The second round of PPP funding just opened up on Monday, $284 billion. And I have a plan to make sure that this time around our mom and pops get their fair share so they can keep their workers employed and their doors open. This is the second chance we've been waiting for, and it's $284 billion. So what do we got to do, folks? First, the city needs to outreach at every corner of our city in every language. Knock on every door. Make sure that every single business in New York City knows about this lifeline. We got to help them fill out the applications if they need it. We got to mobilize our bids, our business advocates, and industry organizations that are already out there pounding the pavement to get the word out, but they can't reach every business on their own. We need to mobilize. We should amplify the PPP program at every opportunity. Advertise, relaunch the TV, radio, social media, and public transit, encouraging local businesses to apply and then survive. And let's make a hotline so that if you need help, a real person can get on the phone and walk you through it. Don't just assume that everyone will find it and apply on their own. We've got to be proactive. That's government's job. We cannot lay back and think that people are going to get this funding. It didn't happen last time, and it won't happen again unless this city government mobilizes every single portal at our disposal. We've got to work with community development financial institutions and minority depository institutions that were actually successful in getting loans to small businesses who needed them. We got to partner up and double down. We've got to give them the funds to hire more experts in PPP paperwork. We have to understand that preparation is about experience, and we have to clearly know that how we work with our communities will determine the level of this funding. Also, here's another idea. Let's partner with the Freelancers Union and other organizations to make sure freelancers and other solo entrepreneurs get their share as well. They were ignored at the last go-around. Last time, they received less than 5% of the PPP, less than 5%. And finally, businesses shouldn't have to search high and low to find out where to get a loan. The city should create a comprehensive list of all the financial institutions that are administering the PPP so that businesses know exactly where to go. It's common sense. And by the way, the federal government has a list. That's right, the federal government has a list, but as of right now, if you go to their website you will find it is actually broken and it's not helping anyone. And applications opened up on Monday. PPP should have been a lifeline to New York City businesses. We were drastically shortchanged, but we have a chance to make it right. New York City small businesses and entrepreneurs contribute more to the federal government here in New York City than any other state. Let's get our money's worth and make sure that between now and March 31st, when the applications close, New York City's businesses get what they deserve. We cannot continue to shortchange our businesses and our people. And as part of the city's responsibility, as we think about how to better improve websites for inoculations with the vaccine, let us also do two things at once. Let us walk and chew gum. Let us create protocols for quick vaccines, and let's create the best protocol for making sure that every small business has the ability to get a PPP loan and save our beloved mom and pop shops in New York City. Thank you all very much. Thank you. No, we're not. We'll get. We got a little more ways to go. Thank you. But right now, I want to introduce somebody, small business owner, the captive marketing group, Yvonne McNair. Yvonne, please come up and say a few words.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Yvonne McNair. I'm the CEO for Captivate Marketing Group. We are a full-service event production company. So like many other event agencies, once COVID hit, everything that I had on my calendar, all of my business totally was canceled or postponed for 2021. In that time, I did apply for the PPP loan and was denied. I applied on several different platforms and just wasn't able to get any answers, so I never got the PPP loan. I ended up having to lay off a lot of my staff, and the staff that I was about to hire because my business was growing, I was not unable to do so. Fortunately, later in the year, I was able to shift to virtual events, but it's still very difficult during this time. And do virtual events for, the city of New York. Thankfully, as a certified MWBE, I was able to do the City of New York Pension Fund Conference. So it's things like that that have been able to help me, but I'm slowly trying to build my business back up to what it was previously. So I'm looking forward to this next round of PPP loans and hopefully be able to, take part this time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Yvonne. Please call up Rose Wu, another business owner. Rose.
I'm going to help translate.
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah. Good afternoon. 我是那个椰香海，那个New Shanghai Restaurant 的 manager.
She's the manager of the Ye Shanghai restaurant on Mars Street and Bayard.
Yeah. 还有什么？就是那个 PPP 呢，第一次的 PPP 呢，申请，我们到这个很多银行，中国人都不收了，说已经没有了。
On the first round of the PPE, she tried to apply to many banks, and she was denied.
后来朋友介绍我一个在纽泽西的那个外国人银行小银行里面，他帮我。
She had to end up going to New Jersey to another bank to find assistance.
Yeah, 因为呢，我们的银行里面人说有很多的纸张，很多的 paperwork 要写，他说很麻烦，他说你最好是叫别人帮忙。
In addition to that, she was advised there's so much paperwork that you better hire an advisor to help you fill out the forms.
Yeah. 后来我就请了别人，朋友帮忙呢就付给他一点那个手续费，就这样。
She had to pay a consultant fee to help fill up all this paperwork in order to get it done.
那么现在呢，就说第二次又来了，又是麻烦了，因为这个很多东西要填，所以呢，我是说。还是请那个原来第一次帮我申请的人，付点钱给他，帮助我。
Now that she's facing the second round of PPE, she's wondering whether she should hire that same consultant again in order to pay, in order to get the paperwork done.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very much, Rose. Thank you, Wellington.
Yeah, no problem.
Now I'd like to call up Eileen Guzu, the board member of the New York City Hispanic Chamber.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today to small business owners. Thank you, Scott Springer, for your leadership as the controller of New York City. It has been really an amazing job that you have done for the MWBE community. I see it every day through your diversity office and how the effort that they put in. So thank you for that. And second, as a business owner, I own a company called Donnelly & Moore, an IT consulting services firm, in business over 20 years. It was difficult to adjust to the COVID crisis, but we did it, working 8 days a week, and our team pulled through, and we're still working and servicing our customers the best we can, everybody working from home. As far as the PPP loan, for many years, over 20 years, I had, as a business, been banking with a larger institution, the larger banks. And it was actually quite difficult to apply for the PPP through the larger banks' platforms. It is because of the chambers of commerce, like the New York City Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and many others, like the New York City Chinese Chambers of Commerce, that help the MWBE community and the small businesses, that we understood that perhaps there's an opportunity to work with community banks. So I was suggested to reach out to Ponce Bank, a community bank in the Hispanic community, and they were fantastic. The platform that they use for you to apply for PPP funding was completely transparent, easy to understand. It was very simple to apply for it and know day by day what was happening to the application. But that was after a week of trying with the larger bank, and their system was just not working for us. It seems like larger banks need to take care of larger customers, and us, the small business, really for this type of situation need to apply with the smaller banks. So you need to go to community banks that are CDFI approved. I'd like to say a couple of words in Spanish for the Telemundo. Como pequeña empresaria en la comunidad hispana, les sugiero a todos los pequeños empresarios, especialmente todos aquellos restaurantes y demás tipos de negocios que han sido afectados muchísimo por esta pandemia, que apliquen al PPP funding que está ahora esta semana ya, que apliquen a través de los pequeños bancos que están aprobados CDFI. Si están aprobados CDFI y tienen una buena plataforma para llenar la aplicación, les van a prestar mucha más atención como pequeño empresario que como pequeño empresario tratar de llenar esa aplicación y hacer todo el proceso a través de un banco grande. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Well said. Thank you so much. Thank you. And now the man with a plan, Andrew Ridgey, who needs no introduction.
Thank you, Controller Schrager. So my name is Andrew Ridgey. I am the Executive Director of the New York City Hospitality Alliance. And I really want to thank the Controller. I mean, he has been out here day in, day out in the trenches fighting for the survival of our small businesses. And it's not just words, it's an actual plan with strategies of how to support these businesses, how to support these jobs. I remember a few weeks before restaurants in the city were shut down, I was just a few blocks from here in Chinatown with several restaurateurs who had been really feeling the brunt of this pandemic early on. So it's very symbolic that we're standing here today. Small business, in particular the restaurant industry, but everyone has been devastated. Before the pandemic, New York City's eating and drinking establishments employed about 325,000 New Yorkers. After we got shut down in April, it plummeted to about 90,000. thanks to outdoor dining, limited indoor dining, which has since been shut down, we hired back 100,000 people or so, but we're still more than 100,000 jobs out, and thousands of restaurants and other small businesses have either closed or are teetering on the edge of survival. So now, with this new round of paycheck protection funding, we need to make sure that this money gets into the hands of the small business owners, so many of whom we know were left out in the first round. Female, minority-owned small businesses in communities throughout the 5 boroughs. And that's why the plan and the idea today of creatively reaching out to these communities, guiding them through the process, to give them a fighting chance of survival to come back. Because I've said it over and over again, and maybe I sound like a broken record, but New York City and our nation will not recover unless our city's restaurant industry and other small businesses are at the core of that recovery. So I want to thank the comptroller, all the business leaders, and all the other small business owners here today. So let's get out there with a plan and help support these businesses coming back.
Andrew, thank you for your leadership citywide. It is truly amazing the work you've done. And now you do not come to Chinatown without inviting the mayor of Chinatown, and it's an honor to introduce Justin Yu, such a respected business and community leader and district leader. Justin Yu.
Thank you very much, our future mayor. We are very happy to see Mr. Scott Stringer is here again. Whenever we need, he's always there. He has been a very reliable and loyal friend of our small business. You know, we all know how much suffer the small business endure for the past 11 months. And Mr. Stringer just tell us very shocking statistics. Only 12% of small business apply for PPP last time. But this time, I hope, because of Mr. Stringer has a plan, has a suggestion, has a proposal for the city to help a small business to go through all the application for process. We are going to open our facilities, our telephone, our staff to help the city if they're willing to help us. We want all the small business in this area. This area is concentrated of small business. All apply PPP. Don't give it up. If you're qualified, the government will give you money to help you go through this very, very difficult time. Don't give it up. Last time, small bank, local bank, credit union were not involved. This time, they are involved now. So last time, many small business told me that they could not apply it because their bank as a small are not involved in this PPP. But this time, encourage, go to your local bank, go to your credit union, ask them to help you out because they are involved. And go to your accountant first, get all the needed document. If in the future we get this help from the city, as our controller suggested, we are going to open our facility. You can come in person or call our number to get help. Thank you very much, controller. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Last but not least, representing the business district is none other than Wellington Chen.
Thank you, Controller. You know, we're delighted he's back again. I can attest this is a man of action because when we first launched the Clean Street campaign after 9/11, this is the only gift from 9/11. We launched the basket here together with the T-shirt. I'm still saving it as a souvenir. Not only that, he, as a borough president, donated $314,000 that DOT is about to utilize for this square coming soon. No surprise. Right, exactly. I know. This is the red tape famous for, I remember your giant scissor, right? So I cannot be more pleased than to have a man of action. He delivers with his words, and I know he understands the pain of our businesses. We have 3,000 businesses, as Ms. Wu was just talking about. She was quietly whispering to me about she really hoped that the government will help this time, and I said that's why he's here. And so I am delighted to, and hopefully, we will see you in City Hall again.
Thank you, Wellington, and thank you, everybody who came out today, the leaders of our small businesses. And now, any questions from the press?
Yeah, I'm just curious, given that this is PPP is a federal program, why not try to work with the federal government and less towards the city?
Well, we see that the federal government website is broken, and not usable, but on the ground information, on the ground help filling out applications, on the ground having the city go door to door with our small businesses is really the only way we're going to get people to apply. You know, the federal government operates at 10,000 feet. The reality is we in city government operate on the ground, but we're not on the ground helping people. So our suggestions is about making sure that we can help people fill out applications, let small businesses know that this is a critical second round. We know, and Andrew has talked about this a lot, that if we do not get people the PPP loans, the businesses are going to continue to close. And we have lost so many people to this pandemic economically. This is another shot. So this is a clarion call. Come one, come all. Work with city agencies. Mobilize. Let's do this right. We have big challenges right now in this city. We have a vaccine inoculation program that needs to be streamlined so that we can get people vaccinated as quickly as possible. But we also have to make sure that we get PPP into the hands of small businesses, because that's an economic inoculation. And we need to do both at the same time.
I just wanted to say, before you started, the mayor asked for a fair share of webinars, one-on-one assistance to help people with the PPP loans. Is this too little too late for you? Look,
I'm glad that they saw us coming and that they're willing to meet us halfway, but I think there has to be more done. The problem is when you set up a webinar and you set up all of these programs, if you're not proactive banging on doors, if you're not actually calling up and inviting people in, a webinar will just be on a Zoom that no one will participate in. I want us to go door to door, bottom up, because it's the only way we're going to speak to our businesses. And by the way, we have to speak to our immigrant businesses in many of the beautiful, diverse languages. We have to make sure that those webinars meet all of the diversity. So there's a lot to go into it. But by the way, if we come out here today and the result is the mayor recognizing that the city has an obligation to be a player in the PPP disbursement, I say thank you very much.
We also get your reaction on the decision today by the city to cut all ties with the Trump organization and their companies. Would you have done this different?
Well, it's a long time coming. That is a corrupt organization and a president who almost tried to bring down our democracy. I don't know the details of how they're going about doing that, but anything we can do to get rid of Trump in New York City is probably the best thing we can do for our democracy. Well, we've taken a look over the years, yeah.
Is there room, because the Trump organization says it costs $30 million?
You know, I'm going to look at it now that the mayor has announced it, and I'll get back to you on how we look at it. Taser, we should make sure we do that. All right, everybody, be safe, mask up, and we'll see you on the other side of inoculation. Thank you.